nearly 500,000 in Illinois is broken and is in dire need of comprehensive reform. And whereas among these undocumented immigrants are hundreds of thousands of young people who were brought to the U.S. while they were children to be with their parents, and whereas 65,000 undocumented students graduate from high school schools throughout the United States each year, and whereas many of these youths have excelled in school, worked hard to fund their studies and support their families and become leaders in their communities, and whereas these youths are highly motivated to continue with their education, with many doing so despite being ineligible for federal financial aid, or to serve our nation as members of the U.S. Armed Forces, and whereas despite their excellent academic records and contributions to the community, these youths are in constant peril of being identified, detained, and deported by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And whereas one such youth, Rigo Padilla, who came to the United States when he was 6, completed studies at Noble Street Charter High School and Harold Washington College with exemplary grades, works full-time to pay for school and support his family, volunteers with several community organizations, and is now enrolled at University of Illinois Chicago with hopes of becoming an attorney. Now faces removal from the United States on December 16, 2009, after being identified after a misdemeanor traffic stop. And whereas Illinois' own U.S. Senator Richard Durbin has again filed in Congress the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors, the DREAM Act, a bipartisan proposal that will enable many of these students, including Berwyn Padilla, to earn legal status, continue with their educations, pursue careers that will enable them to further contribute to their new home country. And whereas Illinois' other U.S. Senator Roland Burris is one of 23 current co-sponsors of the DREAM Act, and at least 4 of Chicago's own U.S. representatives, Representative Danny Davis, Representative Jesse Jackson Jr., Representative Mike Quigley, and Representative Jan Schakowsky, among the 91 co-sponsors of the House version of the DREAM Act. Whereas our city and our country can only benefit if youths like Rigo Padilla can become legal, continue with their studies, and further develop as workers and leaders. And whereas students like Rigo Padilla should be allowed to remain in the U.S. while the DREAM Act is under consideration, lest they lose their opportunity to ultimately gain legal status and pursue their education in the U.S. if they are deported. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the Mayor and the members of the City Council of the City of Berwyn, granted here this 8th day, December 2009, do hereby affirm our support of the DREAM Act and call upon the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to halt the removal of Rigo Padilla and all other young immigrant leaders, students, who would be eligible to gain legal status under the DREAM Act or other comprehensive immigration reform proposals, while such legislation is under consideration in the U.S. Congress. Be it further resolved that a suitable copy of this resolution be presented to President Barack Obama, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano, U.S. Senators Richard Durbin and Roland Burris, and the U.S. Congress. Dated this 8th day, December 2009, signed by Robert Rivero, Mayor, Thomas Pamela, City Clerk.
Make a motion that we accept this resolution and pass it as stated.
Second.
Motion to adopt the resolution by Avila, seconded by Jeff Boyajian. All those in favor on the call of the roll.
Chapman.
Aye.
Boyajian. Aye. Paul.
Aye.
Scribb.
Aye.
Sandra.
Aye.
Malasha.
Aye.
Avila.
Aye.
And Morello.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
Motion adopted.